The quantum sensors aboard the International Space Station picked up the anomaly first, a ripple in spacetime that shouldn't exist. Dr. Sarah Chen was reviewing the morning's data when her coffee mug slipped from nerveless fingers, shattering on the laboratory floor. The readings weren't just unprecedented. They defied known physics. "Get me the Security Council," she barked into her comm unit, eyes never leaving the holographic display. "Authorization, Chen, Alpha 79. Within minutes, military satellites across Earth's orbit redirected their gaze toward a point just beyond lunar orbit. The void twisted, stretched, and finally tore open in a flash of impossible colors. Through this breach emerged a vessel that dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed, a behemoth of dark metal and pulsing energy that stretched nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern. In command centers across Earth, alarms blared. The Chinese Space Force activated their orbital defense grid. The European Union's quantum communication network hummed to life. The United States' Deep Space Radar Array tracked every microscopic movement of the alien vessel. Admiral James Rodriguez stood in the United Earth Defense Force Command Center, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. 30 years of service hadn't prepared him for this moment. No one was prepared. The alien transmission came simultaneously to every communications device on Earth, bypassing all encryption and security measures as if they were children's toys. The voice that emerged was perfectly translated, yet somehow wrong. Too smooth, too precise. "People of Sol 3, designated Earth. We are the Vex Imperium. Your civilization has been monitored since you first split the atom. Your potential for violence is matched only by your technological inadequacy. Submit to integration into the Imperium, or face immediate pacification. You have 24 hours to comply." Rodriguez's first thought was that humanity had kept secrets of its own. In the decades since the Cold War, Earth's nations had quietly prepared for this possibility. Underground facilities housed technologies that the public couldn't imagine. Quantum weaponry, gravity manipulation, even primitive faster-than-light experiments. "Send the response package," Rodriguez ordered. The message they transmitted back was simple, a single mathematical equation, unsolvable by conventional physics. The alien vessel's response was immediate, a lance of energy that vaporized a defunct weather satellite. A warning shot. What the Vex didn't know was that humanity had already survived countless near-extinction events of its own making. Nuclear war had been averted not by chance, but by human determination. Climate disaster had been turned back by human ingenuity. Pandemics had been defeated by human cooperation. In the following hours, Earth's response took shape. The Chinese revealed their orbital kinetic strike platforms. The Russians activated their quantum interference grid. The African Union unveiled massive ground-based particle accelerators repurposed as weapons. Each nation had prepared in its own way, knowing this day might come. Dr. Chen worked frantically with her team, analyzing the alien vessel's energy signatures. "They're shield harmonics," she muttered. "They're based on regular wave functions. Complex, but not chaos theory adaptive like ours." The Vex had expected primitive radio signals and chemical rockets. Instead, they found a species that had turned its violent past into preparation for the future. Humanity had built its defenses not out of conquest, but survival. As the deadline approached, Rodriguez stood before the United Earth Council. "They expect us to either submit or attempt conventional warfare. They don't understand what humanity does when backed into a corner. We innovate. We adapt. We overcome." The Council's decision was unanimous. Humanity would not bow. When the 24 hours expired, the Vex vessel charged its main weapon. But Earth struck first. Quantum-entangled particles, carefully positioned over decades, simultaneously detonated within the alien ship's shield matrix. Chinese kinetic strikes hit precisely as Russian interference fields created momentary gaps in their defenses. African particle beams twisted space itself around the vessel. The Vex ship's shields failed catastrophically. As emergency transmissions beamed toward the galactic core, The vessel's crew discovered something that would soon become legend throughout the galaxy. Humanity had not spent its violent history merely fighting itself. It had been preparing, innovating, and building toward this moment. The first battle for Earth lasted less than 6 minutes. The Vex vessel, pride of the Imperium's scouting fleet, retreated through its dimensional tear with critical damage. But everyone on Earth knew this was just the beginning. The Imperium would return with a full invasion fleet. In the command center, Rodriguez watched the alien ship flee. "Send the message to all facilities," he ordered. "Project Phoenix is now active." Across the planet, hidden doors opened. Secret laboratories powered up. Humanity's real weapons, the ones that had been deemed too dangerous to test, too powerful to reveal, were about to be unveiled. The Vex wanted war. Humanity would show them what that truly meant. Deep beneath the Atacama Desert, Project Phoenix's primary facility hummed with activity. Dr. Chen stood before a massive holographic display, watching as data streams from across the globe converged into a single tactical assessment. The Vex scout ship's retreat had bought them precious time, but sensors indicated multiple dimensional rifts forming at the edge of the solar system. "Their main fleet arrives in 72 hours, she announced to the assembled military and scientific leaders. "Show them what we've been hiding." The facility's central chamber illuminated, revealing rows of experimental craft that defied conventional engineering. These weren't the clunky rockets humanity showed the world. These vessels incorporated technology reverse-engineered from decades of studying quantum mechanics and dark matter. Admiral Rodriguez approached a sleek craft designated Normandy 1. Its hull composed of metamaterials that bent light around its surface. "How many can we field?" 12 combat-ready vessels, Dr. Chen replied, "each equipped with our gravity manipulation drives and phase-shift weaponry. But that's not our true advantage." She gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a network of satellites orbiting distant planets. "We've had quantum entanglement probes scattered throughout the solar system for 15 years. The Vex don't know they're about to fight in our house, by our rules." The facility's quantum communications array suddenly pulsed with activity. A signal, not from Earth, but from the Kuiper Belt. The message was coded in a format that matched neither human nor Vex protocols. "We're not alone in this fight," a new voice announced. Dr. Kenzo Yamamoto, Earth's leading xenolinguist, stepped forward. "That signal, it's from the Archean Collective. They'd been watching us too, waiting to see how we'd handle first contact with the Vex." The message decoded into a series of technical specifications, shield frequencies, weapon configurations, and tactical weaknesses of Vex warships. The Archons had fought the Imperium before, retreating to the galaxy's outer rim. They saw in humanity a potential ally who had developed along a different technological path. "Their arrogance is their weakness," the Archean message concluded. "They believe technological superiority comes only through age. They cannot comprehend species who advance through adaptation and necessity." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Send our response. Tell them to watch what happens when humanity fights back." Across Earth, hidden facilities activated. The Himalayan Quantum Forge began producing dark matter warheads. Underwater bases in the Mariana Trench launched antimatter containment pods into orbit. The Australian outback's sprawling array of gravity generators powered up, ready to turn space itself into a weapon. Dr. Chen's team worked tirelessly, integrating the Archean intelligence with Earth's defense systems. The Vex use singular shield harmonics, she explained to the military commanders. They never expected anyone to develop quantum phase targeting. One hit from our weapons will cascade through their entire defense grid. The next 72 hours saw humanity preparing for a war unlike anything in its history. The public was informed of the impending invasion, but not of the true extent of Earth's capabilities. Panic was contained by the revelation that humanity wasn't as defenseless as many had feared. Military leaders from every nation coordinated their hidden arsenals. Chinese quantum missiles were synchronized with Russian gravity wells. European phase cannons were calibrated to work in concert with Indian temporal disruptors. The African Union's particle accelerator network was modified to create artificial singularities. When long-range sensors detected the Vex fleet emerging from dimensional rifts, humanity was ready. 30 warships, each larger than the scout vessel, arranged themselves in attack formation. Their commander transmitted a message that was both confident and dismissive. Your resistance is noted. Your punishment will be severe. The Imperium does not grant second chances. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of Normandy 1, now in high orbit above Earth. Dr. Chen's voice came through the quantum comm. All systems integrated. Phase weapons charge. Gravity matrices aligned. Send our response, Rodriguez ordered. The message that reached the Vex fleet was simple. You should have brought more ships. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was about to show the galaxy why they had survived every catastrophe their violent history had thrown at them. The Vex were about to learn that humanity's hidden arsenal wasn't just about weapons. It was about the indomitable spirit of a species that had turned its greatest challenges into its strongest advantages. Project Phoenix was more than a military program. It was humanity's statement to the galaxy. We will not go quietly, we will not submit, and we will not lose. The void between Earth and Mars erupted in chaos as humanity launched its first strike. The Vex fleet, arranged in their traditional diamond formation, found their carefully calculated battle plans shattered in seconds. They had expected a desperate defense of Earth's orbit. Instead, attacks came from everywhere at once. Normandy 1 led the charge, its metamaterial hull making it nearly invisible to Vex sensors. Admiral Rodriguez watched as the first phase of humanity's counterstrike unfolded. Quantum-entangled probes, hidden throughout the solar system for over a decade, simultaneously detonated. Space itself writhed as artificial gravity wells tore through the Vex formation. Multiple direct hits. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the quantum comm. Their shield harmonics are destabilizing exactly as the Archon data predicted. Executing Phase 2. The Vex responded with overwhelming firepower, their energy weapons cutting brilliant paths through space. But they were firing at sensor ghosts, false signals created by humanity's quantum interference grid. The real attack came from below. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, the Mariana Base activated its temporal disruptors. Spheres of distorted time enveloped 3 Vex cruisers. Within these bubbles, seconds stretched into hours. The massive ships, caught in temporal flux, could only watch as Earth's kinetic strike platforms acquired their suddenly stationary targets. The Vex commander's transmission carried a note of uncertainty now. This is impossible. Your species cannot possess such technology. Rodriguez's response was cold. You should have done better research. Humanity's hidden fleet struck from multiple vectors. The 12 experimental vessels, each utilizing different technological approaches, demonstrated why Earth had survived its own violent history. Chinese quantum missiles phased through Vex shields as if they didn't exist. Russian gravity weapons created localized singularities that crushed enemy ships. The African Union's particle beams twisted space itself into weaponized corridors. But the Vex weren't easily defeated. Their adaptive algorithms began analyzing the attacks, adjusting their defenses. Energy beams sliced through 2 of Earth's stealth vessels, their crews saved only by emergency quantum teleportation systems. Dr. Chen's voice was tense. They're learning faster than predicted. Initiating Protocol Omega. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated. Humanity had ceded their own territory with weapons that defied conventional physics. The asteroid belt suddenly came alive with automated drone swarms. Jupiter's massive gravity well was harnessed by massive generators hidden on its moons. Even the solar wind itself was weaponized by orbital arrays that had masqueraded as research stations. The Vex fleet found itself fighting not just Earth's forces, but the solar system itself. Their superior numbers meant nothing when space itself became their enemy. Ships were torn apart by gravitational forces that shouldn't exist. Others found their quantum cores destabilized by precisely calculated particle streams. "Their formation is breaking," Rodriguez announced, watching the tactical display. "Execute final phase." Dr. Chen's team had saved their most devastating weapon for last. Using technology reversed engineered from humanity's quantum physics experiments, they had learned to temporarily alter the fundamental constants of spacetime within a localized area. The weapon activated. At the heart of the Vex fleet, the speed of light itself changed for a fraction of a second. The results were catastrophic. Ships dependent on faster-than-light calculations found their systems completely desynchronized. Shields failed. Weapons backfired. Communication systems imploded. The Vex commander's final transmission was filled with something humans had never expected to hear in their artificial voices. "Fear, what are you?" "We are humanity," Rodriguez replied. "And you're in our home." The battle for the Sol system lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, half the Vex fleet was destroyed. The remaining ships retreated through their dimensional rifts, but not before receiving Rodriguez's final message. "Tell your Imperium, Earth is off limits." As the adrenaline of battle faded, humanity's leaders gathered to assess their victory. The cost had been high. 4 experimental ships lost, several defense platforms destroyed, and thousands of injuries from the massive energy discharges that had lit up Earth's atmosphere. But they had done what the Vex thought impossible. A primitive species had stood against the Imperium and won. The Archean Collective's quantum transmission carried a note of satisfaction. "You have done more than survive. You have changed the galaxy's balance of power." Dr. Chen, reviewing the battle data, spotted something crucial in the Vex retreat patterns. "Admiral," she called out, "they're not running home. They're regrouping." This was just their first fleet. Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready for the second. And the third. And however many it takes." The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Humanity had revealed its hidden strength, and the galaxy would never be the same. 2 weeks after humanity's first victory, the true might of the Vex Imperium arrived. Not in dozens of ships, but in hundreds. They tore through space in a massive armada that stretched from Earth to Mars, their dimensional rifts leaving lasting scars in the fabric of reality. Admiral Rodriguez stood in the newly established Lunar Command Center, carved deep within the Moon's core. The holographic display showed humanity's worst nightmare. Over 500 Vex capital ships, each carrying planet-killer weaponry, accompanied by thousands of smaller craft. "They've adapted to our quantum interference," Dr. Chen reported, her hologram flickering beside him. "Their shields are now operating on chaos mathematics. Our phase weapons won't work the same way twice." But humanity had spent these 2 weeks preparing. The Archean Collective had provided more than just intelligence. They'd shared their own bitter experiences fighting the Vex. Every human victory had been studied, every tactic analyzed and improved upon. The Vex Supreme Commander's transmission was broadcast across the solar system. "Your resistance has earned you the honor of complete annihilation. The Imperium will erase humanity from history itself." Deep in the Lunar Command Center, Dr. Chen activated Project Prometheus, humanity's ultimate contingency plan. "All teams in position," she reported. "Quantum entanglement network at full capacity." Rodriguez surveyed the room filled with Earth's best military minds and scientists. "Begin the sequence." The trap was sprung. But this time, humanity didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with understanding. The Vex's greatest weakness wasn't technological, it was psychological. They couldn't comprehend a species that turned its own violent history into an advantage. As the Vex fleet advanced, humanity's defense appeared minimal. A few orbital platforms, a small fleet of ships, standard planetary defense systems. The Vex pressed forward, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They didn't notice that every asteroid, every piece of space debris, every seemingly empty sector of space had been prepared for this moment. Humanity had seeded their entire solar system with quantum-linked nodes, turning space itself into one massive weapon. Dr. Chen's voice was steady. Activating primary sequence. All teams, execute Protocol Ragnarok. The first wave struck without warning. Thousands of microsingularities, precisely calculated and quantum entangled, detonated simultaneously throughout the Vex fleet. Ships found themselves torn apart by gravitational forces that shouldn't exist. Others were crushed as space itself contracted around them. But the Vex adapted quickly, their ships reconfiguring to resist the gravitational assault. That's when humanity revealed their true strategy. Second sequence. Rodriguez ordered, "Show them what we learned from their first attack." Every human ship, every defense platform, every weapon system suddenly changed its operational physics. They had studied how the Vex adapted, and now they forced them to adapt again and again, faster than even their advanced systems could handle. The Lunar Command Center shook as the Vex concentrated their fire on Earth's moon, trying to eliminate the command structure. But humanity had learned from its own history of warfare. There was no single point of failure. "Their quantum cores are destabilizing," Dr. Chen reported. "The constant adaptation is overloading their systems." Executing final phase. This was humanity's masterstroke. They hadn't just prepared weapons. They had prepared an entire strategy based on forcing the Vex to evolve their defenses until they destroy themselves. Each adaptation required more energy, more processing power, more quantum stability. The Vex fleet began to break apart, not from external attacks, but from internal cascade failures. Ships that tried to maintain their advanced shields found their power cords rupturing. Others that attempted to compensate experienced temporal feedback loops that erased them from existence. The Supreme Commander's final transmission betrayed total incomprehension. "This defies all logic. You cannot defeat superior technology with mere strategy." Rodriguez's response was firm. "We didn't just fight your technology. We fought your assumptions, your beliefs, your inability to understand that advancement doesn't always follow a linear path." The battle reached its breaking point as the Vex fleet tried one final desperate maneuver. They attempted to combine their remaining ships into a single massive weapons platform, a tactic that had destroyed countless civilizations before. But humanity was ready. The quantum entanglement network, spanning the entire solar system, activated at full power. Every piece of human technology, every weapon, every defense system synchronized into a single unified response. The resulting clash of energies lit up the solar system like a new sun. When the light faded, the mighty Vex armada was in ruins. Shattered ships and broken technology drifted through space, a testament to humanity's determination. As the dust settled, the Archean Collective's transmission carried a note of awe. "In all our history, no species has ever forced the Vex to face their own limitations. You haven't just defeated them, you've changed them." But victory had come at a terrible cost. The moon's surface was scared beyond recognition. Earth's atmosphere crackled with residual energy that would take years to dissipate. Millions had been evacuated to underground shelters. In the Lunar Command Center, Dr. Chen studied the aftermath data. "Admiral," she said quietly, "we're detecting quantum signatures at the edge of the system, different from the Vex. Multiple species, multiple technologies." Rodriguez nodded grimly. Humanity's victory hadn't just repelled an invasion. It had announced their presence to the galaxy at large. "Send the message to all facilities," he ordered. "The real work begins now." The age of humanity's isolation was over. They had proven themselves on the galactic stage, not just as warriors, but as innovators. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. 3 months after humanity's decisive victory, Earth's skies had finally stopped burning with residual quantum energy. In the newly constructed Geneva Space Council chamber, representatives from 20 different alien species gathered to meet the civilization that had accomplished the impossible. Admiral Rodriguez stood at the chamber center, his uniform bearing the scars of battle. Beside him, Dr. Chen manipulated a holographic display showing the full extent of the war's impact across the solar system. The assembled aliens watched in silence as the presentation revealed humanity's systematic dismantling of the most powerful military force in known space. "The Vex Imperium has dominated our galaxy for 10,000 years," spoke the Archon representative, its crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. Their defeat was thought impossible. Yet humanity achieved it in their first interstellar conflict. Dr. Chen stepped forward. "We didn't win because we were stronger," she explained. "We won because we understood something the Vex never could: the power of controlled evolution." The evidence was clear in the data. Humanity had turned their greatest weakness, their violent history, into their greatest strength. Every conflict, every near-extinction event, every crisis had taught them to adapt, to think differently, to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. The Zarkax delegation, a species of energy beings, pulsed with curiosity. "Your quantum technology, your gravity manipulation, these advances should have taken centuries to develop." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "When you spend your history expecting the worst, you learn to advance quickly." Every nation on Earth contributed their secrets, their hidden developments. We turned our paranoia into preparation. But victory had come at a steep price. The holographic display shifted to show the damage. The Moon's surface was permanently altered by quantum scaring. Mars' orbit had shifted by a fractional degree. Earth's upper atmosphere would require years of rehabilitation. More profound were the societal changes. Humanity could no longer pretend they were alone in the universe. Every aspect of human civilization was transforming to address their new reality as a galactic power. "We've received transmissions from 17 more species seeking alliances," Dr. Chen reported. "The galaxy's power structure is realigning. The Vex's defeat has created a vacuum." The Archon representative's crystalline form sparkled with approval. "And that is why we are here. The galaxy needs a new order, one based not on domination, but on innovation and adaptation. Humanity has proven they understand this better than any species we've encountered." Rodriguez surveyed the chamber. Among the assembled aliens, he saw not just potential allies, but a future humanity had never imagined. "We didn't want this war," he stated firmly. "We prepared for it because we had to. But now that it's over, we have a responsibility to ensure it serves a greater purpose." The proposal put forward was unprecedented. A new galactic alliance, with Earth as a founding member, not based on military might alone, but on the principles that had allowed humanity to survive: adaptation, innovation, and the strength that comes from unity and diversity. Dr. Chen's team had already begun sharing their breakthroughs in quantum physics and gravity manipulation. In return, other species offered technologies and knowledge humanity had never dreamed possible. The exchange of ideas was creating advances that would have taken centuries to achieve alone. But challenges remained. The Vex, though defeated, were not destroyed. Their remaining forces had retreated to their core systems, and intelligence suggested they were already analyzing their failure, adapting, evolving. "They will return," the Zarkax warned. "Changed by this defeat, but perhaps more dangerous for it." Rodriguez nodded. "And we'll be ready. Not just humanity this time, but all of us together." The galaxy needed a reminder that true strength comes not from dominance, but from the ability to change, to adapt, to work together. In the months that followed, Earth became a center of galactic cooperation. The hidden facilities that had housed weapons of war were transformed into research centers. The quantum network that had synchronized humanity's defenses now connected a dozen worlds, sharing knowledge and resources. Dr. Chen's final report to the United Earth Council reflected this transformation. "We prepared for war and found ourselves preparing for peace. Our greatest victory wasn't defeating the Vex, it was showing the galaxy a different way forward." As the first wave of human ships prepared to venture beyond their solar system, carrying diplomats and scientists instead of weapons, Admiral Rodriguez stood at the Lunar Command Center one last time. The scars of battle were still visible on the Moon's surface, But now they served as a reminder not of war, but of the price of progress. The stars are no longer a barrier, he mused, watching the ships depart. They're a bridge. Humanity had emerged from their trial by fire not just victorious, but transformed. They had proven that the very traits that had made their history so violent, their drive to survive, their ability to adapt, their willingness to unite against external threats, could also make them leaders in peace. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. The price of victory had been high, but the rewards were proving to be beyond imagination. The age of isolation was over. The age of cooperation had begun.